All right, we're back here at the Arnold Classic 2025, and I'm standing here with an absolute legend, a man who's embodied the sport for a long time. When did you first start in the sport?
The first I ever competed was 1979, actually.
Okay, legend status.
Yeah, at the tender age of 13 years old. That was the first show I ever did.
Back then, the sport wasn't looked at as it now. You see a lot of these young guys run around. They admire the hell out of a lot of these people. But you got into it before it was a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't very popular back then, but bodybuilding had just started to come on the map with pumping iron and the Incredible Hulk. You know, it was on TV, and you know, so the superhero thing kind of started to emerge.
But it was still very culty at that time, correct?
Oh yeah, it was I was the only bodybuilder in my school. I mean, nobody else would go. You know, the gyms were very small back then, not like today. You know, where these gyms are fantastic and they're just, you know, big multi-million-dollar facilities. So,
well, you started. I mean, like, you go to an old school gym. Where'd you grow up again?
I grew up in upstate New York.
So, like, where was the nearest gym to your house?
There was a place called Sampson's Gym, and that was kind of like the hallowed ground because I started in my basement like a lot of kids back then. Yeah. Barely had any weights, but I put together some stuff, and, built some equipment, and then I graduated kind of to the gym back then. And to look back now, it looked like something out of Rocky. They were just kind of crappy looking, not very well done or well lit. But that's where you went. That's where you went to grow.
Fast forward, did you ever think that it would become all this?
I mean, this is just fantastic. When you talk about shows like the Arnold, the Olympia, we're in FIBO and in Germany, Rimini, Italy. We're all over the world. And I'm with two great companies, Panatta and ProFit. Panatta, we do the best equipment in the world, and ProFit, we actually build the gyms that some of these people are seeing today. And these things are absolutely phenomenal. Again, multi-million-dollar facilities with state-of-the-art equipment and anything you can think of, from swimming pools to equipment to saunas to fully functioning sports stores. You can buy anything in there.
So for somebody who's been in the sport for such a long time, and you start in these grungy, dingy kind of where equipment's falling apart, what do you look for in a gym nowadays?
Well, anybody going to any gym, I mean, you want variety first and foremost. You want a big facility. You don't want to be stumbling all over everybody. You want a place that basically fits your needs. And, of course, I'm going to always say that you want to have some Panatta equipment because we have the best equipment in the world. But anytime you've got that type of choices at your disposal, you're going to get the best workouts.
So where do you see people doing gyms really well? Like you got that new Recon gym in Dallas. You got some huge facilities all over the country.
I mean, all over the world, honestly. But the Middle East seems to have taken a big lead. Some of their gyms are just phenomenal.
Have you been to that Oxygen gym?
Yeah, I've done business with the Middle East for years. I actually host a lot of the Middle East shows, like the Dubai Pro, and have been for many years with Badr Bodai. And ProFit Solutions is based out of the Middle East with Asim Ashore and the entire crew out of ProFit. And they design it from A to B. It's all done on the computer, CAD drawings and such and things like that. Very state-of-the-art and, again, very costly. But the Middle East is really taking it by storm.
It seems nowadays that a lot of these young guys who are super into the bodybuilding space are taking on this expert role. They're like, well, you shouldn't do too many reps. You shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I'm an old school guy. I started bodybuilding. I started getting into this when I was 13, 14 years old. I was reading muscular development, and I was watching. You had to look at it in a magazine or a book. You couldn't. How much emphasis do you put on like how many reps you're doing versus like low reps, high reps? Do you think it really matters, or is it just working the muscle to exhaustion?
No matter how you dice it, you can't get ready for a bodybuilding show, let's say, on a computer. You have to see what works for you because everybody's a little bit different. So while there seems to be some things in place that everybody will kind of sort of agree on, what works for one may not work for another. So you have to find out what works for you and how your body responds. That can be higher reps. That can be a higher weight, lower reps. It's all trial and error, though. You have to figure out what your body responds to.
I agree. I tell people all the time. I go, I could eat peanuts and love it, and you could eat peanuts and drop dead from it.
Exactly
So your body's going to adapt to different things, and when you're in it for long enough, you'll start to learn what works for you.
You can kind of you'll naturally gravitate towards kind of what
feels good.
What feels good,
yeah.
right? Like I had partners that were just inhumanly strong.
Yeah.
I didn't have that kind of strength. I had good strength, but not their strength. Like a Ronnie Coleman or Tom Prince back in the day. They were just ungodly, but they were built like that. They had the big wrists and they were their joints, but I couldn't even think about doing some of that stuff. But like I say, for me, I could punch out reps. And reps with good weight. It wasn't like it was lightweight in a lot of reps. It was heavyweight with a lot of reps. So I found out fairly quickly on that I respond to higher repetitions, where they could respond to a lower weight like a power lifter. So
what keeps you going? I mean, how old are you now?
59.
You look great.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
What do you say to other 59-year-olds who are like, I'm over it. I can't lift anymore. I'm going to get hurt.
You can always lift. Listen, the beauty is like right now, look, I'm not breaking world records, okay?
Yeah.
My free weight usage is limited. I like free weight machines. But I don't need to squat. I don't need to do bench press. I don't need any of those things. I've got state-of-the-art equipment. And listen, there's a reason the pin comes in and out, right, of the machine. Listen, get a pump, work the muscle, not the joints and the ligaments, especially as you get older, and train smarter, not harder. I know it's an age old, but it's so true today.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you've been in the game for a long time. You've seen a lot of legends come and go. You're a legend yourself. Who would you say embodies the sport and the love of bodybuilding the most? They have that personality, they had the posing, they had the physique. Who jumps out in your mind?
I mean, a modern era, because again, we had a lot of characters back when I was competing. It's hard to say really. Of personalities. They all got their own little thing. It's different with social media now. These guys can put their stuff out.
Most of them are just personalities now, I feel like.
Yeah. You got to hope, but they all got their little shtick. You know what I mean? Some are a little more quiet and reserved, but we don't have a lot of big talkers a lot anymore. We used to have some back in the day.
Arnold was great at talking shit.
That's what I mean, like those type of guys, right? And he was the king of it. But they all. It's a little tougher with social media, so the landscape has changed. But they all got their own personalities. They got their own. It's a little unfair because they get compared to us a lot of the times in terms of bodybuilding was better back then. But listen, that was then and this is now. These guys have to create their own universe when it comes to bodybuilding.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a different world out here. There's more going on than ever before. It's got to be exciting for you to have seen this thing grow from the birth, because I feel like the 70s was when it all really started to pop off.
Well, for us it's nostalgia, right? Now we're the old guys waxing about how great it was back in the day. But to a degree, it was better back in the day. So you can't just discount that because we're the older guys now. Because the older guys before us thought they had the best era. But there is something to be said for certain eras of any sport, and whether it was better or worse. Did we have better physiques? It was a lot deeper and a lot harder to get a pro card back in the day. The physique.
Why do you think that was?
There's a lot of reasons. A lot of it's how many pro cards you give out, right? We didn't have other divisions and things like that. We had bodybuilding and women's bodybuilding. That was it. So it has expanded, which is good because you need growth in any sport. By the same token, it was kind of like a special club. It's very hard to get a pro card, but keep in mind the money wasn't very good either back then. So you got to take the good with the bad. You want $1 million paydays. We're here to show that's giving away $500,000 for first prize. Well, you can't do that unless you have growth. And growth had to mean it had to expand out. If this was just men's bodybuilding still and just women's bodybuilding, you wouldn't be seeing tens of thousands of people. You also wouldn't be seeing the $500,000 payday. And the Olympia is moving towards $1 million payday. So,
well, Bob, where can everybody find you?
Oh, shit, I'm all over the place. I'm in every country there is with Panatta and ProFit. You can find me online, of course, Instagram.
Which Instagram?
IFBB Pro Bob Chick. Because nobody can spell Cicherillo, so.
I was going to say, it's a good Jewish name.
Yeah. So, of course, you can find me Voice of Bodybuilding, the podcast. Me and Sugar Sean Ray put that out every week, especially when we're not traveling. And we just got great response. We just keep it real and we talk bodybuilding.
Love it. Guys, you heard it here first. Bob Cicherillo, great guy, legend in the sport. If you don't follow him, start to follow him. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, and we'll see you guys soon. Bob, thank you so much.